Well, hello. If you've never been to my story channel before, I'm Grammy Fox, and you're welcome to come in, relax, and listen to the story. This is from the Bible, and it's a retelling of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Seth's Miracle, written by Grammy Fox. Seth pulled his cart to a stop at the market square in Galilee. He gave his gray donkey Samson a drink of water. He then busied himself unloading the cart. Seth arranged and rearranged baskets on his red woven rug. They had to be just so, for he had to sell all of them today. "Baskets, baskets for sale," called Seth repeatedly. The market bustled with the sounds of wheels clattering across the brick lane square. People shouted to each other over the bleating of sheep and goats. Exotic birds of green, blues, and reds from Egypt squawked in their cages. Children ran in and out among the vendors' wares, which consisted of everyday household items, such as cooking pots and brooms. Also rare gems, dangling bracelets, and delicate fabrics of elaborate colors, and many other choice things could be found for sale or traded. The market was a place of wonder and many different peoples, except today. "Where is everyone?" Seth asked Samson. "Oh, no matter," he shrugged. "It's still early morning, and soon others will come to buy." The donkey twitched his ears and nuzzled Seth's hand. "Sometimes I think you can understand exactly what I'm saying," chuckled Seth. He wrinkled his brow. "If only you could understand that all these baskets must be sold today. Poor Papa is very ill. I hate to lose my best friend, but we must sell you, Samson, if we do not sell these baskets. Papa needs money for a doctor." He patted Samson's head, who brayed in response. By mid-morning, only a few baskets were sold. "Everything will be fine," he said as he patted Samson's head, more to reassure himself than the donkey. Several hours later, the situation had not improved. Seth choked on the hot, dust-filled air. He dabbed the back of his sweaty neck with a rag. As the day drug on, his stomach twisted and tightened into knots of worry, for no one else came to buy his baskets. Yellow streams of sunlight shot across Seth's display of baskets. The sun looked to be laughing at him as it hung high in the west. Seth, reluctant but having no other choice, would have to sell Samson the next day. A neighbor had already offered to buy the donkey and waited for an answer. "Samson, it's time to pack up and go home." What else could be done? Seth tried his best. There were not enough customers. He purchased 5 barley loaves with the few coins he earned. A fish vendor leaving the market gave Seth his last 2 fish rather than throw them away. Boy and donkey walked with heads hung low. It had been a long day and nothing to show but 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. Seth stirred up dust as he kicked a rock with the end of his worn-out sandal. "Home seems so far away right now," he thought. Seth and Samson were startled when a man dressed in dirty rags came jumping and leaping down the road toward them. He waved his skinny arms wildly about his head. "I'm healed, boy," the man shouted as he passed Seth. "I was lame, and now look at me." Seth felt stunned. He had never seen a crazy man before. "But maybe the heat is getting to me, and I imagined him," he said to the donkey. Samson shook his head, his ears flopping from side to side. A few minutes later, Seth passed another man. "I was blind, and now I see. It's a miracle, praise be to God," he exclaimed as he lifted his hands to the sky after casting his walking stick to the side of the path. What could this possibly mean? Seth wondered. A woman's skirts made a swishing sound as she hurried by carrying a small bundle. "My baby, my precious baby. He was sick and now he is well." She stopped to show Seth her baby's pink rosy cheeks. "But how?" Seth asked the young mother. She gladly told him about a man named Jesus who taught and healed the people on the hillside. This news is too good to be true, he thought. But what if it is true? After the woman left, he turned to Samson. This Jesus must be a great doctor. Maybe he can help Papa. Seth led Samson in the direction where the people came from. When they reached the grass-covered hill, thousands of people sat on the ground in large groups. Seth had never seen so many people gathered in one place. The sound of their voices mingled together, rising and falling in waves. Seth had the sensation that he was listening to the Galilean Sea. He searched the sea of faces for the one spoken of called Jesus. A man in his early 30s, dressed in a simple white robe, stood at the center of men, women, and children. He looked to be in his early 30s. Could this be Jesus? Seth said to no one in particular. He struggled to get nearer, pulling Samson and the cart behind him through the crowd. The man began to teach, his voice reaching out to the multitude. Time passed, but seemed to stand still as Seth listened to Jesus. He had never heard of such things as this man taught. Jesus spoke of peace and hope. He talked about loving your neighbors and forgiving one another. He said to feed the hungry and give to the poor. Seth's stomach suddenly rumbled. He was hungry. It was time for supper, and the people were hungry. Seth heard Jesus tell his 12 disciples to feed the multitude. The 12 talked between themselves, not knowing how they were to accomplish such a task. There was not enough money to buy food to feed so many. Seth thought about the 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish with him. He knew he didn't have enough to share with everyone. Could he eat some of the bread without the others around him noticing the food? What if he offered it to Jesus? What good could 5 loaves and 2 small fish do among so many? Would his mother be angry because he had a hungry family at home and gave away their food? Jesus' head turned, and he looked at Seth. Were those amber-colored eyes looking directly into the depths of his soul? Could Jesus see how he struggled with uncertainty? Seth had to make up his mind. Gathering the food from his cart, he slowly approached one of the 12. "Please, take these. It's all I have," he said to Andrew. Andrew immediately shared the news with Jesus that a lad had 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. Jesus commanded that the people sit down. "May we borrow 12 of your baskets?" asked Andrew. Seth obediently gave them to Andrew. "Why does he need 12 baskets when there are only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish?" whispered Seth into Samson's ear. Samson shook his head. He didn't know. Seth watched as Jesus prayed and broke the bread, dividing it and fish between his 12 disciples into the baskets. They, in turn, moved through the crowd, dividing the food among the people. Before long, every person, great and small, had bread and fish. When all had eaten and were filled, Jesus had the disciples gather up the remaining fragments that nothing should be lost. All 12 baskets were filled with the remaining pieces of the 5 barley loaves. Jesus had the baskets returned to Seth. Seth could not believe his eyes. His family would have enough bread for themselves and plenty to sell to their neighbors. Andrew helped Seth load the baskets into the cart. Seth gathered his courage and asked, "Andrew, do you think Jesus could help my papa? He is at home and very sick. Come, you may ask the master." Seth followed Andrew. He approached Jesus, frightened. All fear melted away when Jesus opened his arms out to him. "Oh, please," he cried, running and falling at Jesus' knees. Tears fell from his eyes onto Jesus' robe. "My papa is so very sick." Jesus reached down and stroked Seth's head. "My child, go in peace. Your father is made whole this very hour." No words would come to Seth's lips. He felt as if a heavy weight had fallen from his shoulders. He kissed Jesus' hand and ran from the crowd, pulling his donkey and cart behind him with a newfound strength. After Seth and Samson had traveled some distance toward home, Seth finally spoke. "Samson, I think God sent Jesus." Samson appeared to agree by nodding his head. "You think so too," laughed Seth. When Seth reached home, he saw a man standing in the doorway. "Samson, there's a stranger at our house." Then as he drew nearer, he realized who it was. "Papa, Papa, you're healed!" Seth ran and leaped into his father's arms. Late into the night, Seth shared all that had happened. He told his family about Jesus and repeated the gracious words taught on the hillside. His family lifted their hands in praise and thanked God for his goodness and mercy. Before Seth crawled into bed, he crept out to the barn where Samson munched on hay. Samson raised his head in greeting to his small master. "Samson, Papa is well, and you do not have to be sold." Seth's heart overflowed with joy as he hugged the little donkey around the neck. The end. Now, the story of the 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes is a true story. Witnesses have account of it, and it's recorded in God's Word, the Bible. I hope you enjoyed this story, Seth's miracle, and I hope you'll come back and hear another story sometime. God bless you. You are special, and you are loved.